separated and gone our ways, she and I stayed very, very close. And I'm so thankful for that.
So some of us were in Florida for her kind of immediate ceremony when we laid her to rest there, and it was beautiful seeing all the people from the church who have been touched by her and loved by her and loved her back. And speaking of bourbon, there was a gentleman there who, the way she had touched his life was showing him a cheaper bourbon. Early times. He said, I used to be buying such and such. She got me onto this early times, and boy, it's amazing. He said, it's half the price, and it's so much better. So it was very cute to see all the little stories, and there was someone else who came and shared their story that was a neighbor across the street from her and granddad in Florida, and he said, Jan, she was one heck of a neighbor. He said, if you left your trash out and a little bit past 8 o'clock, she would be there putting it up to your front door, like take your trash in. And he told us a story of whenever she said, hey so and so, I have a little favor that I need. It very often involved a snake in her house. She would, if she was holding a pair of gloves, that's how he knew that she was going to have to. Oh, my time's up. Shot clock. So anyway, he said she could do anything, but the one thing she wouldn't touch was snakes, so he had to come get some snakes out for her. So he always knew that if she said, I have a little task for you, he had a lot to do. I guess as time goes on in life, I recognize the importance of family and just how special and wonderful it is. And for very many of us here, some of us wouldn't be here in one way or another if it weren't for Granny Jan and Granddad. And I'd just like to thank both of them for the effect that they had on us in our lives, for maybe not always being perfect, but nobody is, but being the best people that they could be, and leading us forward generation to generation, and always caring and always loving to the best of their ability. So thank you, God. And I should be
So I'm Bill Lane, the nephew, and I had the pleasure of, when my mother was, over the last 3 years, I got to go down there every 2 months to help out with my mom and stay with Aunt Jan. And what I don't know quite how to say is just watching the sisterhood business. So we can all say various profound things. It's really all true. But the thing I have to say is watching the two of them. Some of you will know this. Any of you who have visited the two of them, my youngest daughter Selena coined it the Jan and Ellie show. So you all know the experience. You go out to dinner, how you're going to get there. Jan was going back and forth, not a word in edgewise. Those of you who went out to dinner when Uncle Gene and my father, your Uncle Tom, was alive, there'd be 20, 30 minutes with the two of them. And then they turned to either Uncle Gene or Uncle Tom. Why aren't you saying anything? They just looked at each other.
Because we're smart.
Jan, in the last couple of months, used to tell me all these stories about sticking her foot out in Flint to trip Mom because Mom had the good back room where she was laying back. All this sisterly stuff. And the two of them was something else on that front. My mother always, all life, referred to Aunt Jan as, pretty one and the smart one in the family. True, pretty. Look at that. Gorgeous. What a great aunt. Too bad, guys, because I get to have her as an aunt, not a mom, so I have all the good stuff.
I'll just follow that up with the thing that always got me about Aunt Jan, I'm Bill's wife, Connie, was her smile. and I come from a family of horribly bad teeth. And so the fact that both Bill's mom and Aunt Jan had these amazing, beautiful teeth so late in life. And the smile on Aunt Jan, I have to say, was of particular beauty. I think that she had... In fact, I still talk about it to my friends. I'll say, we're going to Aunt Jan's burial. This was the woman who maintained the most beautiful smile until she was 93 years old or 4 years old. I said she had a smile like an 18-year-old. And we were visiting one time, and I remarked on it to her again, and I said, Aunt Jan, how do you keep such beautiful teeth with those big blue eyes and that beautiful... And she just said, huh? I don't know. And that was that.
The Jones legacy dies here. But I hope that we all keep it going because we learned so much from we and Al and Bill and Jan. It was an amazing ride, and they had very, very strict ways that they expected you to do, and probably a good share of my life. Mom tried to put this square peg in a round hole, and I refused to do it. Just refused. And I know, as Greg and Doug have both told me, that I built such a wide swath in my life that they could do no wrong. And we put her, all of us put her through different tests in life about different things and beliefs. And you know what? She really rolled with the punches. She was really progressive. She didn't understand. She read. She talked to people. She was one of the most amazing women that I've ever met. And I wish that I had appreciated her younger, when I was younger, but I sure am glad that we had the relationship that we did when I was older. It made all the difference in the world. And she really knew all of us so well. And I was her healthcare proxy, and you know, she knew that Dudley and Greg could not even handle her going and getting everything done to let her go. And so I guess I have to say that I was so fortunate and honored that she let me do that for her and let me send her off. And I did. At 5 o'clock on the morning she died, I had been with her all day and all night and sat there and talked with her and stuff. And finally I poured myself a scotch. I said, Mom, I'm sorry this is not bourbon. I said, but I don't like bourbon. And I said, I'm going to wish you bon voyage. We are okay, and we will do okay. We'll get by. We'll miss you like hell, but we'll be okay. I want you to go. And she did. Very peacefully, very quietly. And I just am going to hate not having Al here and Mom here and we and Bill, just to have all the memories to continue. That's not even going to be in even Hazel Sr., who really was the matriarch of the Jones family. And I hope that we all stay in touch, and I hope that we all can continue some wonderful memories as time goes on.
I have readings from niece Kay Lane, goddaughter of our mom. Dear Aunt Jan, I feel I have no more words, so I will borrow briefly from others along the way. My relationship with you had a lot of words, mostly over the telephone, mostly comparing cat stories for most of my life. I was able to connect to your sweetness and to experience your ability to adapt to whatever situation you found yourself in life. Do you think perhaps you were a cat in another life? I think you might like this quote from Oscar Wilde. Imagine a cat sporting a halo saying, I sometimes think that God in creating man somewhat overestimated his ability. My wonderful godmother let me send these few words taken from Stages by Hermann Hesse. As every flower fades and as all youth departs, so life at every stage, so every virtue, so our grasp of truth, blooms in its day and may not last forever. Since life may summon us at every age, be ready, heart for parting, new endeavor, be ready bravely and without remorse, to find new light that old ties cannot give. In all beginnings dwells a magic force for guarding us and helping us to live. Even the hour of our death may send us speeding on to fresh and newer spaces. So be it, heart, bid farewell without end. Aunt Jan, dear godmother, you believed deeply and without question. So let the last words, my favorite, be a quote from the Bible, be still and know that I am.
I grew up living on leftovers, so I'm taking the last damn flower. And it's not a hand-me-down 3-year-old that I refused to wear to school, as I did when I was 5 years old. I got yelled at by the principal. Anyway, I think what I want to take off on some of what Joni said. When you drive to and from here on 81 or 17 or 15 or the Southern Tier Expressway, and you see the hills cut away of solid stone. No, that's Jack Jones, Joseph William Jones, who created the rock drill for Ingersoll Rand Company, and that's why we drive on the expressways we do today, because of this family. When you look at the fact that we ended the Cold War, you realize that not only did Uncle Pum launch 85 submarines during World War II, which was double the amount the Navy expected was going to be able to be produced, but then within 8 years after the war was over, launched the first nuclear-powered vessel, which secretly, a little bit after being launched, went around the world underwater and never was known until it landed again. And that was launched by Uncle Pum, who was Mom's uncle, Graham Jones's, Hazel Jones's brother. And it was also the prototype of which was built out in Idaho, in the middle of nowhere, by Uncle Bill, her brother, the ne'er-do-well who never did get to college. You know, I mean, but I mean, here you had these hellions raised by a crazy grandmother that we know as Gigi Hazel Jones, who got kicked out of school and never made it through primary school. She got kicked out in 7th grade for being a hellion. She was thrilled to tell me the stories about dances she would go to and all this. When I last saw Graham, we drove all the way from Syracuse to Darien. I took her to Queen and Jack's. And you know, she told me all these stories about all the things that she did in her life. But you know, getting kicked out of school, there was a story that she was always raising trouble. The teacher was up front, and back then, you know, teachers wore formal garb, including undergarments and all that. And the teacher's slip was showing below her dress. And of course, Graham made the most of this and made sure everybody else didn't know what's going on. And obviously, the teacher knew something was up here, and she knew it was Graham who was behind it. And she tells, "Okay, you, to the principal's office." So Graham gets up and goes to leave the room, and the teacher yells out, "Wait for the slip," because she had to have a slip to go to the principal's office with. Which, I mean, that's the kind of thing that Graham lived for, and the kinds of stories that dirty stories too. A woman who was here at the funeral, and she had put 2 handkerchiefs in her shirt, and And halfway through the funeral, she's crying, and she's reaching around there, and some other gentleman's looking at her, and she goes, "Oh, excuse me, I swore there were two when I left home." So, and here Graham was raised. Graham raised Granny Jan, and so did Mrs. Hoteller, mostly raised, all three of the girls. Graham was in New York, very proud of the fact that she was often mistaken for Eleanor Roosevelt, which she didn't realize wasn't a compliment, but Eleanor Roosevelt was a very handsome woman. Mom lived in awe of her life. She always wanted for anyone to have the joy that she had. She dreamt and prayed that God would bring her the most perfect person in her life. And that guy came in and flirted with her as she was Jack Cheney's secretary at Ingersoll Rand. And he was told by all the other people there, "Don't mess with her, that's the boss's daughter," because that was when her dad was the chief engineer. But still, they went ahead, got connected, and she just, her whole life was always in awe of that. But she was also in awe of Tom Lane, who she just thought the world of, and he was the most amazing person, and she thought the world of John H. North Sr. This is John Jr. She would be so touched to see both Norths and Lanes here,
Really?
totally feeling unworthy of that respect. Because she was a very modest person, and oh no, you shouldn't have. I mean, she'd just be horrified that you drove all the way up here. You know, I mean, with that hurricane going on still, because you kind of get the dates confused. Anyway, so she'd be very, very moved by having you here, and she truly adored people in her life. She was thrilled for every single connection that was made between this totally innocent couple here, who pulled it off and made Granny Jan believe as innocent as they were. I mean, she was so thrilled, to have all these connections made. And Jeff and Kate, made this connection that was just the right thing. It was just so wonderful. And for each of my three gangs that they met the partner, that mattered so much. Some of us are still working, but including. So anyway, and it was really great. Mom was Nancy Reagan, as I described her, until Dad died. She ran around him in circles, and I really didn't know who she was until after he passed, and then she suddenly showed up with this sing-songy voice, "Oh, hi," as compared to, "Hi, what is it? What do you need?" It was real quick and rushed. And when you saw her suddenly take off in 7 different directions and then get ticked off, she couldn't remember something. And I'm saying, "Mom, you're doing 7 things at the same time." Oh, shit. Excuse me. But that's what I heard said to me so much, and I realized, oh, she was just as ADD as I was, but I never knew it. And she went after all these passions. She learned to speak in front of people. She saw Dave and I love each other, and went on to realize, okay, then one of her speeches was about why the theological basis for gay marriage, why it was the right thing. I mean, she went through and did all the research and, the history of the word, the translations from Aramaic to Latin, etc. I mean, really, she got into those details. She just didn't do a little speech of why I collect stamps, So, anyway, a really dynamic and amazing person, lovely and a huge heart, and loopy as heck, and that's part of what
Stubborn.
we all have with us. And my ability to forgive a lot of her goofiness helps me trust that my kids can forgive me too.